For 4 years, a little girl named Lily had never spoken a single word. She was 6 years old. She could hear 100% of what was said around her. She understood everything. But ever since the accident that took her father when she was 2, the words simply would not come. Across 4 years and 7 specialists, doctors called it trauma-induced mutism and told her mother there was no timeline, no guarantee, nothing to do but wait. Then a 95-pound German Shepherd that had been returned to the shelter 3 times rested his big head in Lily's lap, and what happened next left an entire room of people in tears. His name was Ranger, a 95-pound German Shepherd with a thick black and tan coat, tall ears, and deep brown eyes that seemed far older than his 5 years. He had been surrendered to a shelter outside Denver, Colorado, not once, but 3 separate times over 4 years, and each family had said a version of the same thing. He was too much, too big, too intense, too watchful. The first family kept him 6 weeks, the second barely 10 days, and the third returned him after only 9 days, complaining that the 95-pound dog would not stop staring at their children, following them from room to room like a shadow. None of them understood that Ranger was not a threat. He was a guardian who had never been given anyone to guard. Ranger had first come as a stray at just 1 year old, found guarding an abandoned construction site as though it were a palace. In the 4 years since, he had been adopted and returned again and again, spending more than 600 days total behind the same chain-link gate. The staff adored him. 2 volunteers came in on their days off just to walk him, and the same dog families found too intense would rest his 95 pounds against their legs and close his eyes, starving for a person to belong to. Sarah Bennett had not come to the shelter for a dog that day. She had come because her therapist had suggested that her daughter Lily, who had not spoken in 4 years, might respond to animals in a way she no longer responded to people. Sarah was skeptical, exhausted, and quietly running out of hope. For 4 years, she had taken Lily to specialists across 3 states, tried every therapy and every intervention, and had watched her bright, bubbly little girl retreat further and further into a silence that no one could reach. The accident had happened on a rainy night in October, a collision that took Lily's father in an instant, while 2-year-old Lily sat strapped in the back seat, untouched but never the same. For 4 years, Sarah had done everything a mother could. She had seen 7 specialists across 3 states, tried 5 kinds of therapy over 48 long months, and spent more nights than she could count outside her daughter's door, listening to a silence that broke her heart a little more each day. They walked slowly down the row of kennels, Lily clutching her mother's hand, her eyes on the floor as always. The barking was loud and the concrete cold, and Sarah had almost decided to leave when Lily suddenly stopped. She had frozen in front of the very last kennel, where a massive German Shepherd sat quietly, not barking, not pacing, simply watching the little girl with a stillness that seemed almost deliberate, holding it for a full 10 seconds. For the first time in longer than Sarah could remember, Lily did not look away. A volunteer named Marcus noticed them and walked over. "That's Ranger," he said softly. "He's been here longer than any dog in the building. People get scared off. A 95-pound shepherd who stares like he can see right through you. But honestly, he's the gentlest soul in this place. He's just been waiting for the right person." Sarah barely heard him. She was watching her daughter, who had let go of her hand and taken one small step toward the kennel, her fingers reaching slowly toward the bars, closing the last 2 feet between them. Marcus, sensing something rare was happening, asked quietly if they would like to meet Ranger in the visiting room. Sarah nodded, hardly able to breathe. They brought the 95-pound dog in, and he moved with a slow, careful gentleness, as though he understood that the tiny girl in front of him was something precious and breakable. Lily sat down cross-legged on the floor, and the enormous German Shepherd walked over, lowered himself to the ground, and rested his heavy head directly in her small lap, letting out a long, low sigh. For one moment, nobody moved. Then Lily's small hands came up and buried themselves in the thick fur of Ranger's neck, and she pressed her face against the top of his head. And the same dog 3 families had returned for being too intense held perfectly still for a full minute, as though he had waited his whole life for exactly this small, silent, broken-hearted child. Sarah pressed both hands over her mouth. Marcus turned away to wipe his eyes. Something was happening in that room that none of them had the words for. Sarah had brought her daughter to look at dogs, and instead she was watching a miracle begin, quiet and enormous on a shelter floor. No one moved because moving might break the spell. I know you haven't subscribed, and I'd never pressure you, but stories like Lily's are why this channel exists. If it touched you, tap subscribe. Sarah adopted Ranger that same afternoon. She had walked in without the slightest intention of bringing home a 95-pound dog, and she walked out with the certainty that she could not possibly leave him behind. Lily held Ranger's leash the entire drive home with both hands, and in the mirror, Sarah saw something she had not seen on her daughter's face in 4 long years: the faint, unmistakable beginning of a smile. The first weeks at home were a quiet transformation. The 95-pound Ranger appointed himself Lily's shadow, just as the last family had feared, except now that watchfulness looked like what it had always been, which was devotion. He slept on the floor beside her bed for all 3 of those first weeks. He sat pressed against her chair at every one of their meals. When Lily had one of her silent, overwhelming moments, the ones where she curled into herself and disappeared, the 95-pound dog would lean his enormous weight against her until the storm passed. He could not speak either, but he understood. Within the first month, Ranger had learned Lily's every rhythm. He knew when she woke, when she was frightened, when she needed him close, and when she needed room. He carried her small shoes to the door each morning and waited. He laid across her bedroom threshold at night, all 95 pounds of him, so she would always know someone stood guard. And the same dog 3 families returned for watching too closely had finally found the one person who needed watching over. And slowly, something began to shift in Lily that 4 years of therapy had never managed to touch. She followed Ranger around the house instead of hiding in her room. She began brushing his thick coat all 7 evenings a week, a quiet ritual the 2 of them shared. Sarah watched from the doorway as her daughter moved her lips silently, the words right there, just beneath the surface, as if the dog had unlocked a door sealed shut for 4 years. The same Ranger that 3 families had given up on had become the one creature who could reach the one child no one else could. Lily started making small sounds when they played, a hum, a giggle, the ghost of a laugh she had not laughed since she was 2. Sarah wrote the moments down, terrified of hoping and unable to stop. In week 3, Lily laughed out loud for the first time in 4 years when Ranger rolled onto his back with all 95 pounds in the air. In week 5, she hummed 4 notes of a song her father used to sing. In week 6, she mouthed a full sentence into his fur with no sound. The moment no one would ever forget came on a freezing night in December, almost 5 months after the adoption. Sarah had fallen asleep on the couch, exhausted, when one candle she had forgotten on the mantel tipped over and set the living room curtains ablaze. Smoke filled the house fast. Sarah did not wake, but Ranger did. The same dog everyone called too intense did exactly what he was born to do. Ranger raced up the stairs, burst into Lily's room, and pulled the blanket off her small body with his teeth, nudging her awake and pushing her toward the door, staying glued to her side. Lily awoke to smoke and heat and the enormous dog pressing all 95 pounds frantically against her, and she understood at once that something was terribly wrong. The 95-pound Ranger herded her down the stairs toward her sleeping mother, barking louder than ever for 30 more seconds. But Sarah still would not wake. And in that moment, with the smoke thickening and her mother motionless on the couch, 6-year-old Lily Bennett opened her mouth, and after 4 years of silence, a sound finally tore its way out. She screamed the one word that mattered: "Mommy!" Sarah jolted awake to her daughter's voice, unheard in 4 years, screaming for her through the smoke. She grabbed Lily, and with all 95 pounds of Ranger, they made it out the front door, into the freezing night as the firefighters arrived. The crews later said that another 2 or 3 minutes, and none of them would have made it out. But it was not the fire Sarah would remember for the rest of her life. It was her little girl's voice, cracked and rusty, calling her name for the first time in 4 years. Lily's voice did not disappear again. It came back slowly, word by careful word over the following 8 months, and her therapist said the terror of that night, beside a creature she trusted completely, had shattered the wall 4 years of treatment could not. The same dog that nobody had wanted had given a silent little girl back the one thing everyone believed was gone forever, which was her own voice. Today, Lily is 7 years old, and she talks all the time, mostly to Ranger, who is now 6, and still sleeps on the floor beside her bed all 7 nights a week, just as he has for over 700 nights straight. She remembers the years of silence, but they feel far away now, a country she once lived in. Ranger still rests his head in her lap each evening as she reads to him aloud, and the house, silent for 4 years, is finally, gloriously, full of a girl's voice. If you are ever tempted to walk past the biggest, most intense dog in the shelter, the one everyone else is afraid of, remember Ranger and Lily. The very thing that made 3 families give him up, his relentless watchfulness, was exactly what let him save her. The ones the world gives up on are so often those with the most love left to give. Do you believe an animal can reach a place no person can? Tell me about the one who saved you below.